Hello friends, welcome to Squaird Plans, where creative planning and organization comes to life. I'm Stephanie, and today we're going to be doing a little DIY spring planner refresh in my Franken planner. I'll show you how to make a laminated vellum cover using free printables and add in some seasonal dashboards for my dividers. Fun DIY ideas for giving your planner setup a brand new look. So let's get to it. You'll need some cardstock paper, this one here in 65 pound. Also some clear vellum, and this one is 29 pound. These thermal laminating pouches, which I have in 5 mil size. Of course, a thermal laminator. I have my Scotch laminator here. And also to a cutting board or some kind of cutting device. I like to use this guillotine cutter. Some punches as well are very handy. I have a power disc punch and a corner rounding punch that I'll be using. Okay, you guys, so I went ahead and pre-printed all of the cover elements I will need for this DIY. I have 2 vellum sheets with the same script laid over them, as well as this cover I created using a free photo and a little bit of some Photoshop techniques to create a nice inner cover to match up with that. So I'll be giving those away for free, like I mentioned down below. They are sized for classic sized Happy Planner. Some of them you might be able to size up if you have a Happy Planner big. But just know that you can't really print edge to edge with a letter-sized planner. So just keep that in mind because the paper size would need to be larger than letter size to cover. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and crop this guy down to the size that I need. I have extended the classic size page size a 1/2 inch on all sides. So instead of being 7 by 9 1/4, which is the standard Happy Planner classic size page, it is now 7.5 by 9 3/4. So that gives you plenty of space to overlay things like dividers and top tabs, things like that, so you won't see those from on top of the cover, and gives you a little bit more leeway too with the punching, so you get a nice clean look when you're all done. And what I decided to do is to actually cut the vellum and the cardstock together. That worked out pretty well. The cardstock isn't super thick, so it's better to have those layered together because you get a nice clean edge and they align perfectly when you put them together. However, I think a little more thickness would have been better in the long run, just because it was a little hard to cut straight. And in the end, I ended up always having one side a little bit crooked that I had to correct. I was trying to do the correction here using just another piece of scrap, but it just wasn't big enough to do it. So I went ahead and just trimmed it with my scissors, which wasn't ideal, to be honest. I think it created a little bit of a crookedness to the cover, but you really can't notice it once it's in the planner. So I'm going to go ahead and break out a couple of laminating sheets here to get started on the laminating process. And so what we're going to do is actually just laminate that vellum dashboard. I think there's a couple of ways that you could do this, but I thought it would be nice just to try a vellum only cover. That way you could layer it with different dashboards behind it, different cardstock dashboards, or even other covers, and just see how that looked together. So we're going to do just a simple vellum cover here. I am using the 5mm sheets like I mentioned in the beginning. If you have thicker sheets, it would probably be better. I got through this whole process, I put it on my planner, and it was great, but they are slightly flimsy. So what I might end up doing is actually re-trimming them down and then re-punching them after I put a second laminating coat on top of it, just to see how that goes. That was a suggestion mentioned to me in one of my videos in the past, that somebody did that with some thinner laminating sheets and it worked well. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe give that a try just to thicken these up a little bit. And basically the process would be just to cut down right to the edge of the vellum again, leaving like no lamination on the edges, and then re-laminate the whole thing in a new sheet. Like I said, that might be something I do, but I really did think that this would be fine if you don't have a real thick planner or something that you're going to be carting around a lot. This will work fine. It's more flimsy though, so like I said, just keep that in mind. Unless you have a thicker millimeter sheet of laminating paper like a 10 or more heavy paper, then you should be okay. So I went ahead and trimmed down those covers and am now punching the side there for the discs. I'm using my We Are Memory Keepers disc power punch for pretty much this entire DIY. You might be able to get away with punching this with a Happy Planner punch. It's thin enough as is, but I think if you re-laminated it, it would not go through. But I just prefer that power punch. I've never had any problems with thicker materials with the power punch. My punch is getting very dull though, so I tend to have to do a little cleanup afterwards to just finish out the holes and clean up the trimmings. Still need to figure out a way to really do a good sharpening on the punch. I know people said foil is a good way to sharpen it, but that hasn't really done enough to make a huge difference to the performance of the punch at this point. I've punched a lot with this guy already though, so it's to be expected that it's just dulling out a little bit. Went ahead and went through that punching and laid it in onto my cover. I really like it already, just layered with my older dashboard, but I'm excited to see how it looks with these new dashboards once I get them in. And I thought maybe I could punch all of these together just to make it a little bit more sturdy as I go through, but I think I'll just punch the cardstock together first and then go back and do the back cover as well. I really do like this punch. It does so much better with thick materials, so as I'm trying to thicken up these cardstocks by layering them, just does create a little bit more of a challenge to punch them correctly, but I got through and it looks good, so I'm happy with the result. And I just love the look of this. If you guys are Jane's Agenda fans and really like her covers, I really kind of felt like that was reminiscent of her style, and I've been admiring that for a while, but I just haven't pulled trigger on buying any covers yet from them, especially because I was like, I want to DIY my own little custom thing. I like to DIY things, so this is a way to achieve that look without the price. And again, just doing a little bit of cleanup there on those holes, and I'm going to go ahead and round the corners with my corner rounder punch like I did on the front. And then let's go ahead and drop in this back cover, which I think again just looks really pretty. I love this look, and the black text with the black rings is giving me all the feels. I like that it's not super bright and sunny. I like this kind of more sophisticated look. So I'm excited for that spring refresh. And along those lines, I just got into that floral mood and found a bunch of close-up floral images on some free stock photo websites. So I went ahead and grabbed those and brought them down to classic size. Now cutting those for some divider dashboards. I actually ended up printing these front and back with the same images. My first run was of the same florals, but it printed kind of dark, which was good on some but not on others, so I ended up reprinting them with a little less saturation in my printer values, and I like that so much better. So that's what the front is, the lighter version, and then on the back you'll see the darker versions. So I went ahead and trimmed those, and they're all ready to go. Those are the standard 7 by 9¼ size, the same as like a standard Happy Planner page size, because they will be going in behind these dividers, which are that size as well. So as you can see, I pulled out one of my older dividers just to try and align up the holes for these dividers with the holes of the tabs. Those plastic tabs have a pretty shallow mushroom head punch, which I noticed on my last attempt at some, DIY dividers. I'm going to try to kind of shrink out the punch size of these dividers to see if I can make that match up a little better with those tabs. I got those tabs on Amazon. They're great, and they were, just the right price. But like I said, the size of the punch got a very short stem on those mushroom punch heads. So I'm going to try to emulate that somehow. What I ended up doing was actually pencil marking where the top of the mushroom head hit on the tab dividers that I put in there. So I got that first one in. As you can see, it's kind of a much shorter little mushroom thing. And then as I was sticking it in the guide, I just tried to keep it straight. And that worked better than the Happy Planner punch because I couldn't see at all what I was doing in the Happy Planner punch. So I was just trying to figure out a better way to do that. And I think just doing them all together in that kind of smaller bunch worked well. So not awesome as far as keeping everything together. I like the longer stems for that, but for this application, I think it'll look a lot better having those shallower disc punches in there next to those dividers. And here she is, all refreshed and ready to go. I'm in love with this look on the cover. Again, I think I might thicken it up with a little bit more lamination, but just love the layering and the look of these two items together. Do check the description below so you can get your own to print out and make your own spring refresh. I'm going to go ahead and jump up to the dividers here in my reference section so you can see how those turned out. I went ahead and left in my old dividers just for now so that you guys can see the front and back of each of the dividers as I go through. Those will be coming out after the video is over. I really love this simple but elegant upgrade for my planner. I am excited maybe even to do one more DIY with maybe a new DIY folder, but this was good for now and I'm excited to get into this. And I'll just go ahead and finish flipping through so you can see the final result. And that is it, friends. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. Also, too, go ahead and leave me a comment if you'd like to get in touch. And think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, if you'd like to see more of my videos. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Bye.